Paramahansa Prabhujakacharya, Asatosa Shishiman, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Anantakota Vaishnavana Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Prem Zagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Shamakun, Radhakun, Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavandam Ki Jai, Shri Maya Parnavidam Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Jamunamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Go Premanandi, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious to Shishi Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, Text number 29. Tam Jighamasam Abhipreta Vihaya Nripa Lanchanam Tat Pada Mulang Sirasa Samagad Baya Vivala Tam Jighamsam Abhipretya Vihaya Nriparlanchanam Tatpadam Hulam Sirasa Samagad Baya Vivala Tam Jighamsum Abhipretya Vihaya Nriparlanchanam Tatpadamulam Sirasa Samagad Vaya Vivala Tam Jighamsum Abhipretya Vihaya Nriparlanchanam Tatpadamulam Sirasa Samagad Bhaya Vivala. Matajis Tam Jikam Samabhit Pretya Vijaya Prabhu Samaghan Payavivalaha Tatpadamulam Tam him Jighamasum willing to kill Avipretya knowing it well Vihaya leaving aside Nipralanchanam the dress of a king Tatpadamulam at his feet Sirasa by the head Samagat fully surrendered Bhayavivala under pressure of fearlessness under pressure fearfulness. I got to get another pair of glasses, these are getting weak. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. When the personality of Kali understood that the king was willing to kill him, he at once abandoned the dress of a king and, under pressure of fear, completely surrendered to him, bowing his head. Purport. The royal dress of the personality of Kali is artificial. The royal dress is suitable for a king or kshatriya, but when a lower class man artificially dresses himself as a king, his real identity is disclosed by the challenge of a bona fide kshatriya like Maharaj Parikshit. A real kshatriya never surrenders. He accepts the challenge of his rival kshatriya and he fights either to die or to win. Surrender is unknown to a real kshatriya. In the age of Kali, there are so many pretenders dressed and posed like administrators or executive heads, but their real identity is disclosed when they are challenged by a real kshatriya. Therefore, when the artificially dressed personality of Kali saw that to fight Maharaj Parikshit was beyond his ability, he bowed down his head like a subordinate and gave up his royal dress. Om Jnanatamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshrum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Ukrum Kutabachalang Pungun Longhayate Gurim Yatkripa Taraham Bande Shigaram Dinataranam Vanchakapa Triyvyasya Kripa Sindhu Jevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So this pretender kshatriya personality of Kali was feeling some fear upon meeting a real kshatriya. And fear is good. Just like here in America there's religion that God-fearing. So this is good. To fear God, to fear kshatriyas. But you can go beyond this fear of God or fear of kshatriyas. As one advances in spiritual life, one becomes attracted to God and wants to serve God, and he gives up the fear. I was distributing books a few days ago at Santa Monica College, and one student got a Bhagavad Gita, And he took it and he immediately started reading it. And he came back about an hour and a half later and he said, I like that conception that you have, that you can be the friend of God, or you can be a parent of God, or you can have a conjugal relationship with God. People never heard such a thing. But he liked that. So this is beyond the fear. And it even goes to a very high level where God fears his mother, does some mischief and he's in fear of his mother. It goes the other way. God can be, of course he's feigning. God's not scared of anyone, but he's feigning fear. So the living entity can also have this loving relationship with Krishna. But fear is a big thing in this material world. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Fearing. Just like here in America, we had this Department of Defense, and they spend a lot of money on defense. Last year they spent about $700 billion on defense, coming from the taxpayers. Right? I mean, that's a lot of money. And they spend that about every year. Fear. Of course, it used to be fear. Now it's business. From wars they get business. And that's why a lot of these wars take place. But fear is a big thing in the material world. And Srila Prabhupada said, for a devotee, what is the greatest fear? Forgetting Krishna, but he specifically says in one purport, to again enter the animal species of life. This is the greatest fear of a devotee. Because the animal species of life, total forgetfulness of Krishna. So it's a great fear for a Vaishnava. But to fear forgetting Krishna, this is another fear of a devotee. Therefore we associate with devotees and try to please the devotees, try to get the mercy of the devotees, try to please Krishna. And this helps us to advance in Krishna consciousness. And eventually, there's no more fear. One reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, what do you get from this chanting, Hare Krishna? Prabhupada stood up very straight. I have no fear. No fear. Material world, everybody has fear. But you surrender to Krishna, no more fear. Something else we should fear is offending devotees. Just like we have this lady visiting from Germany, and she made a nice statement this morning. I hope I haven't offended anybody. I was trying not to offend anybody. That's a very good consciousness. We should be very careful amongst Vaishnavas, because if we offend devotees, Krishna is not pleased. And if Krishna is not pleased, then it's very difficult to advance in Krishna consciousness. So, especially amongst devotees, we have to be very careful. Because we have this tendency in the material world to offend others. Therefore Krishna says, Icha dvesa samudvena. All living entities are born in this world bewildered by the dualities arising from desire and hate. We have hate. We're born in this world with hate. So it's easy to offend others because of this contamination. Prabhupada gives a nice example. Imagine there's a huge garden, beautiful garden, fragrant flowers, and in the middle of this huge, beautiful garden, there's some feces. A fly comes by, buzzes by, passes up all the fragrant flowers, and goes straight to the feces. On the other side, there's a big pile of garbage. Stinks. Horrible. Big pile of garbage. In the middle, there's one flower coming up. Fragrant flower. A bee comes by, passes up all the garbage, goes to the flower, and gets the honey. So this is the devotee. We all have faults. Anybody here not have a fault? We all have faults. Oh, Brigapati. He rose his hand. Yeah. He's joking. He's joking. But we have so many faults. So a devotee oversees, he overlooks all the faults and looks for the good. He looks for the good in others. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said, if you find a fault in someone, look in that same person and find 10 good qualities. And then look back at yourself and find 10 faults in yourself. That'll keep you busy, huh? This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So the tendency is fault finding. Prabhupada says that the symptom of a devotee is he's beyond the tendency to criticize others. This is a pure devotee. So this is something we can aspire for, is seeing the good in others, avoiding criticizing, avoiding faults. Because faults are there, it's easy to criticize others, but to see the good in others, wow, that's very exalted. Yeah. So this is something that we can aspire for. So this personality of Kali, he wasn't someone of high caliber. He was pretending to be a kshatriya, pretentious. And there's a lot of that going on the planet right now. So-called leaders just cheating. And we have other people who are pretending to be spiritual leaders. They wear their dress of a sannyasi. Prabhupada said even he saw people that were householders. They would leave their home with the dress of a sannyasi and go and beg. And then they would come back and they would wear their household dress. Business. And so many so-called spiritual leaders are misguiding people, wearing the dress of so-called sadhu, but cheating people, misleading people. There's one pastime of Srila Prabhupada. He was speaking against people that were misleading, so-called spiritualists, misleading others. And some people weren't appreciating this. But Srila Prabhupada said, it's my duty. I'm following Shastra. I'm following Krishna. There's so many people that are not following Krishna, but they're so-called leaders. And Prabhupada defined what is a leader, what is a spiritual leader. Very interesting pastime with Prabhupada and the Beatles, because they were following a certain spiritual leader. And he had his Bhagavad Gita, and he had his mantra. So the discussion between Prabhupada and the Beatles, who's right? You're saying you're right, he's saying he's right, so many leaders saying they're right, who's right? Prabhupada said you have to see who is most addicted to Krishna. That's the spiritual leader. Who is most addicted to Krishna? Whoever you find to be addicted to Krishna, He's a spiritual leader. And Prabhupada was completely addicted to Krishna. Always hearing and chanting and preaching the message of Krishna. And Prabhupada, he had this Kshatriya mood as well. He was a powerful person. In 1976, Prabhupada was ill. Unfortunately, he never recovered from that. He was in New York City. And the devotees are trying to convince Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we have a nice farm here, nearby, Gita Nagari. You can go there, you can write, you can recover your health, and preach in this way. So many devotees will come, and it's so nice. It's very peaceful, Prabhupada. So they were trying to convince Prabhupada right up to the point where he's in the elevator going down to get his, to get the ride to the airport. They're still trying to convince him. The devotee said, Prabhupada, it's very peaceful. You'll be able to recover your health. You can write. Prabhupada said, I'm not interested in this peace. He kind of said it like a bad word. He said, I want the privilege to be able to die on the battlefield like Arjuna. This is Prabhupada. He had this Kshatriya mood, and therefore he said, we're declaring war on Maya. That's right. And he's the commander-in-chief for the next 10,000 years. So, the more we hear the message that's given to us in these Bhaktivedanta purports, the more we'll be able to pick up this mood of Srila Prabhupada. This purity. He had this purity where he could chastise these so-called leaders. And not only spiritual leaders, but so-called leaders, like Prabhupada would be preaching to these scientists. And they're also cheating. So-called leaders. Cheating the people. So many theories. Prabhupada says in one purport that the so-called modern leaders, scientists, they have lost their brain work due to accepting the theory of uncertainty. Perhaps. These are big words, scientists. Perhaps, maybe, right? Big words they use. Perhaps, maybe. Uncertainty. They've lost their brain work. The brain isn't working. So Prabhupada came to smash all these rascals. Reveal these rascals. Just like Parikshit Maharaj, he's revealing this so-called leader. And he became fearful and surrendered. So that was good on his part. Of course, if he was a real kshatriya, he would have fought. Just like there's a pastime, I think it's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there was one king who went out to fight another king. He didn't win, but he came back. And the queen told the subjects, don't let him in. He's not a king, because he was a kshatriya. She was a kshatriya wife. He lost a battle. He can't come back. Either you win or you die, as Prabhupada says here in the purport. He lost, but he's still walking. What is it? He's not a kshatriya. She kind of chastised him. She wouldn't let him in to the kingdom because he wasn't a king. He wasn't a real kshatriya. He should have died. He lost, then he should have died. You fight until you either win or you die. It's a real kshatriya. Huh? Nowadays, if there's a war, like the president, he declares war, he sends all these soldiers out, and he goes and watches the war on television at Camp David. So this is the so-called leaders, and it's like that everywhere. Nowhere do you find leaders, presidents or prime ministers going out there and they're also fighting. No way. There's no real leaders. And they don't know what's good for the people. One time a devotee said, Prabhupada, you should be president of the United States. And Prabhupada said, no, I don't want to be president. But I can give direction. That's what the Brahmanas did. The real Kshatriyas, the powerful Kshatriyas, they would take advice from the Brahmanas. Although they were so powerful, they would take advice because they knew the Brahmanas, they're more powerful. So they would take direction from the Brahmanas, the real leaders of society. And Prabhupada said, this is what we need in society. There's no Brahmanas. There's no Kshatriyas. There's not one real Kshatriya on the planet, practically. A real Kshatriya? No. So there's no Brahmanas. There's some. Now Prabhupada has come and he's created some Brahmanas. We have wonderful Vaishnavas now that are living a Brahminical life. Prabhupada came and created, so powerful. The Vaishyas also, there's practically no Vaishyas. What does a real Vaishya do? He protects the cows. What Vaishyas are protecting the cows? No. They do agricultural work. They arrange festivals. So this is the Vaishya. So a lot of Sudras. So you can get the picture, yeah? Prabhupada gives an analogy of the Brahmana, he's like the head. The Kshatriya, he's like the arms, powerful. The Vaishya, he's the waist. And the Sudra, he's the legs. So now, there's practically no head. Maybe minuscule, very small, maybe. There's no arm. There's no belly, just humongous legs. That's what we have. Humongous legs, nothing else practically. So we're trying to put a body into society. Actually, there's a devotee that wanted to be a Kshatriya. And he asked Prabhupada, I'd like to be a Kshatriya. Prabhupada wasn't so encouraging to this devotee because to be a real Kshatriya, that's not an easy thing. Of course, to be a real Brahmana also. But this is what is most important. More important is that there's Brahmanas. Because the Brahmanas, they can go out within society and give spiritual knowledge and help people. Just like we have this book distribution. And people are being helped all over the world. It's like one lady just a few weeks ago, she got a Bhagavad Gita from me. And she was interested in it. And she was asking questions. And so I gave her the address to our mantra lounge in Culver City here, and she went and she loved it. And now she's chanting, she got beads, she's chanting, coming around practicing. Just recently also, this lady from Germany got a book, now she's chanting, becoming a devotee. So people's lives are being changed in a very positive way by this dissemination of transcendental knowledge. This is what is needed. As Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, there's no lack in society except for Krishna consciousness. This is what is most needed. Krishna consciousness. This will bring happiness to the people. Now when I'm distributing books, I ask people, excuse me, what do you want out of life? And quite often they say, well, happiness. Okay, very good. I tell them, do you know there's two different types of happiness? There's material happiness and there's spiritual happiness. Which one do you want? And practically without fail, they say spiritual happiness. So I go on to explain that this material happiness, it comes to a certain level and then it decreases. This is the nature of material happiness. But spiritual happiness, it's increasing. It's always increasing. So people like that. It's a nice thing to say to people, because everybody wants happiness, but they don't know there's two different types. You explain that, and people appreciate it and take a book and shoot for that spiritual happiness. This will satisfy the soul, not this material happiness. So we should see the Prabhupada. He said that my disciples, they have two diseases. One, they are not enough afraid of Maya. So we should have this fear of Maya, a healthy fear of Maya. And that's good. So we're still in that level. Once one becomes a pure devotee, there's no more fear. But that's a very high level. And the other disease is we like to change things. Prabhupada set up the society perfectly so that if we just follow what he set up, we can become purified and go back to Krishna. In the Uddhava Gita, Krishna is speaking to Uddhava. And he says, Prapanam payamamisha bitamritru gaharnava. He says to Uddhava, this is how you should pray to the deity. Please protect me, who I'm trying to surrender unto you. I'm very fearful of this material existence, standing as I am in the mouth of death. So this is how we should pray. Please protect me, Krishna, who I'm trying to surrender unto you. I'm very fearful of this material existence, standing as I am in the mouth of death. Interesting, he calls it the mouth of death. Material world, the mouth of death. Because we can die at any time. We don't know. We don't know when we're going to leave this world. Today, any of us can leave. Of course, we're not expecting. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but at any time we could leave our body. The mouth of death. So we have to have this firm fear of Maya, of illusion. Maya is so powerful. To get free of Maya, what does Krishna say? Daivi hyesu gana maya, mama maya durati, mama viye papadyante, maya metam tarantite. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. But one who surrenders unto me can very easily overcome it. So Maya is so difficult to overcome. But if we just surrender to Krishna, we can cross over. And part of that surrender is what this personality of Kali did. He bowed down to a great devotee. We had to bow down. And Krishna, he says, the austerity of the body, Deva Dvija, Guru Pragya, Pujanam Socham, Brahmacharya Mahingsacha, Sarira Tapuchita. These are the 5 austerities of the body. And the first one is to bow down. That's the first, bow down to superiors. The culture of India is so nice that from the beginning of their life, they're taught to bow down. Yeah. Bow down to parents. Even Krishna says that one should respect one's parents. So they bow down. I remember this Balagopal Prabhu, he used to live here. He told me he got up one morning, him and his wife, and their little daughter, 2 years old, bowed down to them when she saw them in the morning. And no one taught her this. Just the culture, it just naturally comes up with this culture of bowing down to superiors. So they didn't know what to do. They were surprised. She bowed down, so they bowed down to her too. So I told them, actually the culture is, she bows to you, but you don't bow to them. Isn't it? So bowing down to God and bowing down to superiors like that. So it's very good. In America, we don't have that culture, bowing down. Unheard of. So Prabhupada came and he taught this. Just like when Prabhupada went to 26 Second Avenue. Before he went to 26 Second Avenue, he was in the northern part of Manhattan, and he was doing some preaching there. And some people were listening and appreciating and somewhat following Srila Prabhupada. And then he got this 26 Second Avenue. And he got some following there, and people were coming and strictly following Prabhupada, much more than those in the northern part of Manhattan. And they were watching Prabhupada when he would make the offerings. He would bow down. The picture of his guru was there, and he would bow down. And upon seeing that so much, they started bowing down to Prabhupada. Yad yad, acharati sresa tat tadavetu arjuna. Whatever great persons do, they'll come in and follow in the footsteps. Right? So upon seeing such a great personality, Prabhupada, who became their life and soul, bowing down, they started bowing down to Prabhupada. So some of these people that were in the northern part of Manhattan were coming and visiting Prabhupada. And they were seeing that the followers at 26 Second Avenue, they're bowing down to Prabhupada. And they were like, what's this? Why are they doing that? And one even asked a question to Prabhupada after class. He asked, why are these students here bowing down to you? What's that? And Prabhupada said, just as you're thinking, why are they bowing down? They're thinking, why aren't you bowing down? So it's natural. When one acknowledges a superior, to bow down. Yeah? And it's good. The more we bow down to Krishna, the more we bow down to Srila Prabhupada, the more we're getting purified. Yeah? This develops humility. This helps us to develop humility. We're small. Yeah? Krishna's great. Prabhupada's great. We bow down. We get purified. So that's the first austerity of the body. Deva Dvija Guru. Bow down to the Guru, to Krishna. Deva Dvija to the Brahmanas. Guru Pragya to superiors. Even to the demigods who we offer respects. And even saintly personalities of another religion. We bow down to Jesus Christ. Lord Jesus Christ, Prabhupada said. We're not sectarian. So great personalities we bow down to. Deva, Dvija, Guru, Pragya, Pujanam, Saucham, Arjama, to be clean, to be simple, to live a life of celibacy. These are the austerities of the body. And by doing these austerities, we get purified. And this is the goal, right? Thank you. Any question or comment? Yes, Prabhu. Apurna, Prabhu. Oh, the microphone is just now coming. We have internet. We have people listening on the internet.
I had a thought in regards to your mentioning, a nice class by the way, the point of no real Kshatriyas and the duty of the Brahmin to advise the Kshatriyas. So, although ISKCON is not in the market of promoting any particular candidates, we do have someone there, and she has a very transcendental name that people are chanting. But I assert that she has some Kshatriya blood in her. She spent 6 years in active duty in Iraq, and there might be some there. And then you can think, if she by any chance were to be in that position, why wouldn't she go ahead and take advice from members of the Krishna conscious movement who she regularly is associating with in different ways, coming to our Rath Yatras, etc.?
I'm sure
Can
she
you
would.
comment?
I'm sure she would. Yeah. Hopefully she wins. Yeah. We can pray to Krishna. It would be very auspicious. It'd be the first time even a vegetarian would be president of the United States. What to speak of a devotee. So yeah, we should pray and vote also for her. Yeah. Yes, Sachitanoy Prabhu.
I have one question and one comment. The comment first, you were speaking about bowing down, and one time a senior devotee told Prabhupada, this is in the beginning, I think it was Gargamuni, he was seeing the other devotees bowing down, and he said, Prabhupada, I don't feel like bowing down. He said, do it, it's good for you.
And then you said, eventually you'll be more accustomed, I think, something like that.
Right. Yeah. So then
No, he has
the
a
question
question.
is, when you were speaking about being afraid of offenses, so sometimes neophyte devotees commit offenses to each other. Within the process of service, they commit offenses. Would that be also severe offenses? We understand that if you commit offenses to a senior person immediately, or pure devotee, but among peers committing offenses?
Well, there's different levels. Like you said, there's a serious offense, and not as serious. But if we offend others, if we offend even someone who's aspiring to be a devotee, it's not good for our devotional creeper. Yeah. We shouldn't offend non-devotees. We shouldn't offend anybody. Krishna, many places in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says a devotee is friendly to everyone. Many places in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is very pleasing to Krishna. When we're friendly to others, we're not offensive to others. If we're offensive to others, it's false ego. Prabhupada says he said that the profession of the neophyte is to bicker. Interesting statement. To bicker. Bicker means to fight over little things. Yeah. That's the profession of the neophyte. To bicker. To fight over little things. Yeah. So gradually, as we continue on, we should be very respectful to others. I mean, this is this verse, Tunadapi Sunichina. Therefore, it's so important. Krishnadas Kaviraj said this verse is so important. It should be worn around one's neck, strung by the holy name. Nothing else. No other verse did he say that. Think oneself lower than the strongest tree, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, ready to offer all respects to others without desiring respect for oneself. In this way, we can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So this verse is so important to help us be respectful towards others. Yeah.
We notice that neophytes, as we don't like to be corrected. And that is the most difficult thing, to be corrected. If a senior or older person tells you something, you can swallow that.
Vijaya Prabhu, he has a very nice thing. He says, we should live to be corrected. That's a classic statement. Because we need to be corrected. We're not advanced. We need that. We should want to be corrected. And don't be offended when we are. We should thank the person. Someone's correcting us. Oh, thank you, Prabhu. You're helping me to, take a step higher. But the false ego, we don't want to be corrected. It's the rascal false ego. It's our enemy. The false ego, the mind, all this, pride. Terrible. I think Brigapati had a question. Did you? Or a comment or something?
Question. So Prabhupada used to quote the Vedic aphorism, Palena Parichite, you judge a process by the result.
Yeah.
So here we have Maharaj Pariksit is confronting Kali, and then Kali surrenders. He takes off the royal dress and he begs Maharaj Parikshit not to kill him, and Maharaj Parikshit shows him mercy. But then what happens was Kali goes and does stuff afterwards. In other words, Maharaj Parikshit should have just killed him on the spot. If he killed him on the spot, then that would have been it. But he showed him mercy. He spared him, and then look what Kali went ahead and did his nefarious activities. So so it seems like maybe sometimes it isn't a good. I mean, how do we understand that? It seemed like it didn't work really.
This is part of the arrangement of Krishna, Kali Yuga. Just like I was just reading that Maharaj Parikshit, he could have. He was cursed, but he could have gotten over that curse. Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, but Krishna's arrangement was for Kali Yuga to begin. So, for that reason, this is his arrangement. This is one of the ages, so he doesn't want to interfere with one of the ages. Just Kali Yuga's going on. His arrangement. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class, Prabhu. So you were explaining that material happiness increase in the beginning and slowly will decrease, but the spiritual happiness will increase, always.
Yeah.
So how can we actually get some experience of that?
You're not getting the experience?
I mean the spiritual happiness.
You're not getting that experience?
No.
See, this is his humility. This is the nature of a devotee. A devotee is humble. You see, he says, I'm not getting the experience. How long have you been practicing Krishna consciousness? For how long?
Almost 30 years now.
Almost 30 years. And he's one of the nicest devotees in the community. And he says he's not getting the taste. You see, this is the nature of a devotee. No, but as we continue, then it naturally, if we're practicing, Prabhupada said if you're not practicing, then you're not going to be happy. That's a natural byproduct of Krishna consciousness, you become happy. He said if we're not, we're doing something wrong. So we should become a little, as Prabhupada said, introverted. What am I doing? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Because that's a natural thing. Huh? I can't understand. Introspective, introspective. Yeah, devotee means happy. So if we're practicing, then naturally it'll increase.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Okay.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. How can a neophyte know what to improve on, or what he's doing wrong if he's a neophyte?
Yeah. Well, you can ask devotees. You could ask. We have so many devotees been here a long time. Prabhu, is there anything you've been observing me for some time? Is there anything I can do that will help me to advance in Krishna consciousness? Inquire. And maybe somebody sees something that you don't see, being you're new. So that's one thing you can do, and we should also, I've had senior devotees go to other senior devotees. Prabhu, if you see anything that you see a little off, and you think I should be, please correct me. Please let me know, because I may be doing something wrong. I don't know. If you see something that's a little off, wrong, please let me know so I could advance. That's a nice mentality, right? So not only neophytes, not only new devotees, but we should all have that mood. Is there anything, ask devotees, anything I can do to help me improve? Please let me know. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki